So this is the brand new Razer Blade 15. My unit happens to come with the new RTX 2070 MAXQ. Now, if you're looking at it, you're probably saying, Matt, what is the difference? It looks exactly the same. And you're absolutely right. It does. It has the same look. It has the same feel. The only difference in terms of its outer interior is the thickness of it. It's hard to tell on camera, but the brand new Razer Blade 15 is slightly thicker by a few millimeters. Those extra millimeters are to incorporate the bigger RTX GPUs and also probably helps a little bit with cooling. The look I still love, the build quality is still top notch, especially when you compare it to other competing products. I still think Razer has some of the best built gaming laptops out there. The port situation is exactly the same as last year, so I'm not gonna go over the ports again, but I do wish they put an SD card slot on this. I mean, at the end of the day, they're including 4K panels with beautiful color accuracy, so they're aiming it towards gamers, but it's very appealing for content creators. The internals, everything inside is the same place. There are some upgrades, for example. The NVMe SSD is now faster this year compared to last. You're almost getting double the read speeds and slightly faster write speeds. The Wi-Fi card has also been upgraded. I don't really notice much of a difference, but it is newer. And this year, you can put up to 64 gigabytes of RAM inside of here instead of just 32. Now, battery life, it's still using an 80 watt hour cell, so I'm getting about 5 to 5.5 hours of use with the 4K version. I'm sure if I bought the full HD version instead, my battery life would be better. So as I mentioned, my display is 4K. It's using the same panel as last year, so amazing color accuracy, 100% Adobe and sRGB with really good brightness, over 350 nits of brightness. The webcam is the same. It's still terrible at 720p, but you do get a brand new infrared sensor on the top, so you're capable of using Windows Hello. This makes a big difference to me. I like using Windows Hello. It's such a great piece of technology. Being able to quickly get into your laptop using your face is so much more convenient than typing in a password. The sound is still the same. You still have two speakers on both sides of the keyboard, giving you more immersive sound since it's hitting you directly in the face. It's not like the best sound. There's other laptops that do it better, but overall, it's very acceptable. Keyboard, exactly the same. You're still getting chroma lighting. You can light up each key individually if you really want to. Overall, it's a very beautiful keyboard. The only thing that I wish was that it had more travel distance. It doesn't feel like a gaming keyboard, and it feels more like a keyboard that belongs on a MacBook Pro. The touchpad is still the same. It's a nice, chunky, good size. It's still made out of glass using Windows Precision, and overall very accurate when I'm dragging around the screen and using gestures. So let's talk about what matters, the performance. It's still using the same CPU as last year, the i7-8750H, so anything CPU intensive, you're not gonna see any difference. It's the GPU that's been upgraded. The RTX 2070 MAXQ inside of here is about 10 to 15% faster than last year's GTX 1070 MAXQ. So that pretty much puts it online with a full-size GTX 1070 or even a GTX 1080 MAXQ. Other improvements have been made. You are using a lower TDP on the GPU itself, so you should get some better efficiency. This will be able to game comfortably at Full HD or QHD with settings set to high. 4K is hit or miss. Older titles you can game at 4K like Overwatch, but when it comes to some of the newer titles, you're definitely gonna have to drop down the settings. Now, the one thing that Razer does really well is cooling the CPU. They take more of a proactive approach compared to the competition. Most laptops will let the CPU temps hit like 95 degrees Celsius, thermal throttle it down, then let it bounce back up to 95 degrees Celsius, then thermal throttle it again. This is fine if you want like the best frame rates, but it doesn't help for longevity of the CPU. What they do instead is power throttle the CPU, reducing amount of power that goes to it. With that, you get lower turbo boosts, usually averaging around 2.6 to 2.8 gigahertz, instead of crazy turbo boosts that stay at max CPU speeds. With that, you get a CPU that stays significantly cooler at around 80 to 85 degrees. Now, I'll be honest with you, the performance is slightly less than competing products, but 2 or 3 years down the road, this laptop is more likely to survive compared to the competing ones. And the last thing is fan noise. It gets just as loud as last year, but the thing about this year's model, I don't find they're ramping up as often as they did last year. So you have a little bit better consistency, a little bit better control of the fans compared to before. So here are my closing thoughts. The Razer Blade 15 is still one of the better built gaming laptops going into 2019. It may look the same, feel the same, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of small improvements to make this a more refined and complete package. I do wish it had an SD card slot, and I do wish the keyboard had better travel distance, but overall, it's still one of the better gaming laptops you can buy today. I really truly like the proactive approach they take to cooling the system system rather than the more reactive approach other laptop vendors take. Anyways, that wraps up my review of the RTX 2070 MAXQ from Razer Blade. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.